Frost has just made red critting so much more easier, especially with the Exceltra. And I'm going to show you a build that will only give you red crits when firing with this gun. You can do this for other weapons as long as you focus on your critical chance and a little bit of your critical damage. And you can do it by only focusing your build on these two abilities of Frost right here. And if you do that correctly, you can end up doing things like this. Yeah, only red crits, not a single yellow or white crit in that damage. Like, that's absurd. So here we are by Frost in the arsenal. We have a nice, beautiful frame here that we're going to work with today. And I will show you guys how to design this frame, and I will show you how I made him look like this, and it's really cool. Now, the build that we're working with today is we don't need any Archon shards. You can put Archon shards. I highly recommend you get your strength up. But for this build, we're mainly going to be focused on duration, efficiency, and his range. You do not need strength, as this is a build mainly to freeze and give red crits. It is also a defense build, so you can use this in defense missions as well. Now, the build. We are running biting Frost here, and that is what is giving us our critical damage and our critical chance to proc those red crits, so long as the enemy is completely frozen. Now, we are running corrosive projection as well here, so that we can pair that with our avalanche to further strip enemies of their armor. It's really not needed, but it just helps out with the red crits and the build. Now, we are running Archon Flow here, but you can switch this out for Primed Flow, or you can use Archon Flow, as long as you just have energy. But with our efficiency, we're really only mainly going to be using one ability here to give us red crits all the time. Fleeting Expertise for that ability efficiency. Now, you can max this out, but I suggest you leave it unmaxed by 2 levels or 1. But maxing it out is recommended, but it'll still work even if it's not maxed out, at least by 2 levels not being upgraded. So you want this on rank 3. Stretch, max this out. Prime Continuity, you do not have to max this out. And Narrow-Minded as well as Overextended. Now, the build is mainly going to focus on his freeze and his avalanche. You can go ahead and swap out your Ice Wave for Breach Surge to carry over that critical multipliers to the next target with those little wisp beams that go ahead and target the heads. Now, his passive. Cold status effects from Frost abilities have their duration increased by 100%. Frost gains 50 armor per enemy afflicted with cold status within 15 meters. Basically meaning every time an enemy gets a cold status, Frost will get 50 armor as long as they're in 15 meters in that range within Frost. Now, cold status effects from Frost abilities have their duration increased by 100%. That is also good because this passive is going to work well with our Arcane Guardian here, which is undamaged. You receive 15% chance for 900 armor for 20 seconds plus 1 Arcane Revive. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to be using Arcane Ice Storm here as well. On enemy frozen, you gain plus 2% ability chain and plus 2% ability duration for 15 seconds. And it stacks up to times 20. Now, when it comes to your weapon, you want to at least make sure your weapon has a critical chance, like the Exceltra here, of 102%, or at least in the hundreds, for this build to work properly. It doesn't have to. It'll still work beautifully with things like Nikanas, Exceltras, Torrids, anything for that matter. But what I recommend here is you do have your build at least critical chance of 102% for this to work properly. Okay, but with that being explained, now I'm going to go ahead and put the build into action. Now we are going to be spawning heavy gunners here on Steel Path, so we're going to make sure that's on Steel Path. We're going to make sure our enemy level is max, 135 for my mastery rank. I am mastery rank 21, so that's the max I can go. And we're going to simulate. Now, the only ability here that you really need to focus on, and I mean solely focus on, is his freeze ability, which is his first ability, as it's going to be the most beneficial. So, if I freeze an enemy, the enemy that my ability hits will get 10 cold procs, but the enemies around them will not get 10 cold procs. This is good, and it's a little bit bad at the same time, as if I hit this enemy, he gets the 10 cold procs, which means he can receive the red crits. The enemies around him will not be able to, as they're not completely frozen yet. Now, if I spam this, and I freeze everything in sight, everything will be able to receive red crits. And do not worry about the duration, as there's something I need to point out. Okay, I never froze that guy in the back, but there you go. When it comes to your duration, what I've noticed is that you're going to have more time than Avalanche. So with Avalanche, you're going to be using 40 energy. It's not going to deal that much damage. Its radius is really good, and the freeze duration does give you enough time while the enemies are armor stripped for you to go in for those red crits. But freeze, on the other hand, is going to give us 22 seconds and is only going to use 10 energy. We're not worried about dealing damage here with freeze. We're worried about enough time and cold status effect only. So we got 22.2 seconds and a radius of 9. That is perfect. This whole entire build is mainly focused on the freeze ability itself, as that is going to be Frost's golden point for our weapons here. Now what I am going to do as well is I am going to equip my Glaive Prime. But notice something about my Glaive Prime. This is a build that I have gotten from YouTube, which is actually really good. Now, this is where the fun part gets interesting. You'd want to use something like this, which mainly focuses on crit, with Blood Rush, and as well as with Blood Rush, pairing in with that Sacrificial Pressure, Sacrificial Steel, and with the Corrupt Charge to give our Blood Rush more critical chance, and it stacks with our combo multiplier. Volatile Quick Return for that, quick coming back after the glaive explodes. Amalgam Organ Shatter for that 85% critical damage, and that heavy attack wind-up speed so that we can charge up that heavy attack more faster, as well as Gladiator Might for that 60% critical damage, 10% melee critical chance per combo multiplier. And I've got to mention, running melee exposure. Now, why are we running melee exposure? On ability cast, this is going to pair with your freezing as you spam it. Gain 50% corrosive damage on melee strikes for 25 seconds, and this stacks up to 240%. So whether you have this on R3 or R4 or R5, basically rank 3, rank 4, rank 5, it's really going to work well with that armor stripping as well as that damage increase while the armor is getting stripped. So I'm going to show you how this works with the Glaive Prime. Now, because my critical chance is not up to 100%, you are going to see some red crits, but you're mainly going to see orange here. So if I just get my Glaive Prime out, and I freeze this target here, the enemies around it will get some slash procs, but if we freeze everything, and we throw the Glaive Prime, there you go. Mainly orange, you do see some red crits there, as well as that melee exposure coming in with our corrosive procs. And yeah, as I promised, the fashion frame. Now, it's just primary white, secondary white. Tertiary is this yellow right here in the fire color palette. And the same thing for the essence will be this yellow here in the fire color palette. And for the immersive, you just need to run this gray. It's in the default classic palette here. It's right at the bottom in the center. And for energy, we are running this beautiful blue here from the ice color palette. And for the second sort of energy, we are running purple from the Imminence color palette. I hope I said that correctly. But just to let you know, if you do not know how to get 2 strands of energy, you will need to format your frost build once and then max it out in order to get those 2 openings so that you can mix beautiful colors like this. For the Sayandana, it is the TennoCon 2024. That's if you bought the pack for it. But all in all, it still looks good even without the Sayandana. It's just a nice way to show these really frosty texture. And yeah, but for me personally, I kind of like the backpack, so I'm just going to keep it on. Now it is, yeah, attachments will be your normal Nilemore leg plates, which will be these leg plates right here that I'm hovering over with my cursor, like right here. And those are the color palettes for all of those right there. Your inferior will be the Frostfall inferior, Frost inferior, I believe it is, and you will need the Frost heirloom. It still looks good even without the Frost heirloom, or you can use the Kroyos Signa. And yeah, and it's just Frost heirloom armor. You can also use regular Frost armor, although it doesn't look that great. So yeah, it still looks great even without it. But that is the fashion for Frost. For the color palettes, it's primary white. In the smoke pack, it's just white, or you can use any white in the color palettes, or you can just take the easy step and you can just copy your main colors from your Warframe. It'll copy all these colors here into the attachments, and yeah, especially for this Idana. And yeah, that is the Frost. But that being said, uh, we've come to the end of the video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I really hope this Frost build helps you out, as it really is just focusing on this one ability right here. And I think that this is Frost's, well, not most useful ability, but useful ability when it comes to using Biting Frost. And yeah, I really enjoyed making this video, and I really hope that this build helps you guys, especially using Frost. I know some people do not like using Frost, but I promise you, if you use this build, it will benefit you, and it will help with your critical chance and your critical damage if you do not possess a Riven, especially for the Exalcha Prime. But that being said, have a good day, guys, and I really enjoy making content. If you can, leave a like and follow, subscribe. It really helps out, and I hope I can make more content for you guys and more awesome builds like this that really don't require a lot. It is new player friendly and mid game friendly and steel path friendly as well as late game. Now, thank you guys. Hope you enjoy your day. Have a good one. See you guys in the next video. Cheers.